In January 1959, Igor Dyatlov led a team of 9 young survivalists into the freezing Ural Mountains. Their target was Otorten Mountain. This group held the highest level of mountaineering certification available in the Soviet Union, having spent years navigating the most complex sub-zero environments on Earth. When the group failed to send a telegram by mid-February, search and rescue teams were deployed into the harsh alpine terrain to retrace their route. The searchers did not find a routine case of hikers succumbing to the elements. The campsite defied every known rule of alpine survival. The search party first found the group's tent, half buried in the snow. The entrance was sealed, but the side canvas had been violently slashed open from the inside out, indicating the occupants were desperate to escape. Leading away from the tear, footprints cascaded down the freezing mountain toward the tree line. The tracks showed the hikers were running in socks, a single shoe, or completely barefoot, abandoning their heavy winter gear in -30-degree weather. Weeks later, investigators located the remains of the 9 hikers, scattered near the trees and buried under deep snow. Strangely, their bodies showed almost no external scrapes, cuts, or defensive wounds. This medical diagram illustrates the autopsy findings. Several of the hikers suffered massive internal hemorrhaging, crushed ribs, and severe skull fractures. The force required to cause these injuries is equivalent to a high-speed car crash, yet the skin above the fractures remained completely unbroken. Elite mountaineers do not abandon their shelter to freeze to death without a reason. The lack of external trauma mixed with fatal internal crushing meant standard explanations like animal attacks or a basic avalanche simply did not fit the evidence. In the tightly controlled environment of the 1959 Soviet Union, official information was heavily restricted. When the government abruptly closed the investigation and classified the files, public suspicion surged. Without transparent answers, people filled the gaps with speculation. Theories ranged from a Yeti attack and hostile UFO encounters to wind-generated infrasound, inducing intense psychological panic. The most persistent rumor suggested the hikers accidentally witnessed a covert Soviet military weapons test and were silenced by the state. Investigators had originally dismissed an avalanche entirely. The tent was pitched on a slope of only about 15 degrees, far too gentle for a typical avalanche, and searchers found absolutely no sign of a snowy debris field or structural damage to the tent poles. Because forensic science in the late 50s couldn't reconcile the physical facts, a vacuum was created. The truth of the Dyatlov Pass was buried under decades of conspiracy and myth. Decades later, researchers applied advanced computer simulations and fluid dynamics to analyze the specific topography of the campsite. They identified a highly specific, localized threat known as a snow slab avalanche. This diagram shows how this develops. Heavy winds pack falling snow into a dense, solid block of ice at the surface. This top layer rests precariously on a weaker, loose granular layer of snow underneath, creating an unstable trap even on a gentle incline. When the hikers arrived, they needed a flat surface to pitch their tent. Digging into the slope, they unwittingly removed the structural base holding up the snow slab. A microscopic stress fracture began to form in the dense ice layer high above their camp. It didn't fall immediately. Hours later, powerful freezing winds drove more snow onto the slope, increasing the weight until the fracture finally snapped. A singular, heavy block of solid ice detached and slid directly down onto the tent. This mechanic aligns perfectly with the autopsy reports. The heavy ice block crushed the sleeping hikers against the hard floor of the tent, causing severe, blunt internal trauma without breaking their skin and without creating the chaotic debris field of a traditional avalanche. Inside the pitch-black tent, the impact would have been sudden and devastating. In an instant, the crushing weight of the ice block pinned the hikers, breaking ribs and cracking skulls in the dead of night. Suffocating under the compacted snow and terrified that a second, larger slide was coming, they had to escape immediately. They slashed through the canvas side of the tent and dragged their severely injured friends out into the violent blizzard. With no time to dig out their boots or heavy coats, they sprinted downhill toward the tree line for safety. The decision to slash the tent and flee into the dark aligns with established survival protocol for an impending avalanche, where the immediate threat of being buried outweighs the long-term risk of exposure. Computer models and modern avalanche science have finally provided the mechanical truth behind the incident at Dyatlov Pass. Yet, calculating the mass of a snow slab does nothing to capture the sheer, visceral horror of those final hours, dying in the dark, miles from civilization. We now understand how the snow moved, but the Ural Mountains still hold the true weight of the terror those 9 hikers felt that night.